What's up, guys? My name is Shane, and this is sWs, Shootin with Shane. My guest today, Aacw professional wrestler and one half of the Bulletproof Posse, Kris Kaos. Brother, how you doing, man?
Pretty good.
So I usually ask, how was the drive down? Because I know you live a little ways from me.
Yeah, traffic wasn't bad, but it was definitely a little lengthy. It was almost a 2-hour drive. So
Yeah. So you drove 2 hours.
Almost, yeah.
Almost. Man, I appreciate you coming down, man. I really do. We have a tradition here, obviously, on SWS, shots report. So if you don't mind, brother, we're going to do an opening shot with you. Cheers, man. Now, I'm going to light the cigarette. Now, I know you're a tag team guy. I know this. So I'm going to jump right into this really quick. I want to go the Midwest Connection with Real Chef G, man, and the ICW tag titles. Let's talk about that.
Okay, well, what do you want to know?
Let's talk about the Midwest Connection, man. How'd you guys start? How was it? You know?
We were both basically relatively new in the business then when we met. And we just felt like we weren't getting our fair shot. We were just kind of pretty much just getting, for lack of a better word, squashed. And we both had enough of it and formed a tag team, and then we started squashing people.
Okay. Now, you guys wrestled in ICW, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, for the people who don't know, what's ICW?
That was Indianapolis Championship Wrestling.
Okay. And you guys were tag team champions there, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were the last team to hold those titles.
So you were the last team.
Mm-hmm.
So when you guys left the company, you guys were champions.
Yes.
Now, how long did you hold the titles for?
I mean, it was the very last show, and they didn't know that they were going to end up closing doors.
Okay.
So we were literally the very last team.
Oh, okay. So like you show up that day.
Mm-hmm.
You have no. So you guys had no idea that was the last show, or did you guys know before the doors opened?
No,
or
we had no idea. And it was booked that we were going to be the first match, and the first match was a #1 contenders match for the tag titles. And then the winners that same show would be main events against the
for the championship.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys opened the show,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys won the #1 contender spot.
It actually, we were facing a team called Monsters of Mayhem.
Okay.
And it ended up being a no contest because we got into a huge fight. Ended up falling outside the ring. So instead of rolling it as a double countout, they actually made it a triple threat tag team match in the main event for the tag titles.
Okay. So you guys open the show. There is #1 contender,
Mm-hmm.
no winner. So you guys go in triple threat for the main event.
Yeah, one pin, no elimination, just one pin, winner take all.
Okay, so you guys opened the show and you guys main evented what became the last show of Indianapolis Championship
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling.
Yeah.
What was the feeling of that, man?
It was great. I mean,
Crowd good?
yeah, it was pretty solid. And we had a lot of momentum. We were heels too, because we pretty much do what we want when we want. So we just went in there and we wanted the titles and we took them.
Okay. Now, speaking of Real Chef G, I did some research and maybe not the style, but the attitude and the look. Minnesota Stretching Crew, Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin. Was that a thing? Like, is that something you just now heard, or?
No, that's something I just now heard. But we got a lot of comparisons to the Dudley Boys.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. The finish was cool, man. When I was doing the research and watching some videos that you had sent me, and then the things that I had found of ICW, the finish was cool. So let's talk about the finish, man.
We called it the connection drop,
Okay.
which was ultimately my Death Valley driver into his frog splash off the top.
And the way you guys did it, man, I know when I was texting you, man, awesome finish. For a tag team, really cool, because you both played a big part. You know, you were the setup guy. Hey, man, I'm going to drive him down with the Death Valley driver, a little Perry Saturn action, and then he's going to come with the 450 splash. Now, when you won the tag titles, is that how the tag titles was won?
in a way, instead of doing, I set it up kind of the British Bulldog. He used to put people up on his shoulders and do a running power slam. In the moment, a running power slam happened, and then I look up and he came off the top with the frog splash.
Okay, so
and he was the legal guy. It was a moment where pretty much all hell was breaking loose. The other tag team put another dude through a table outside the ring. I scooped up the legal guy, drove him down, and then Chef came off the top of the frog
Okay,
splash.
so who got the pin? You or Chef?
Chef did.
Chef did? Okay. Now, when after you guys won the tag titles, obviously, you know, did you find out that night after you won the tag titles? Because, I mean, obviously you guys are coming off a high.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Hey, we just won the world tag titles. Was it when you got back with the boys in the locker room that you found out that, hey, this is the last night?
It was about a month later.
Okay.
Because we were in a new building.
Okay.
It was at the Marion County Fairgrounds.
Okay.
And then I don't remember specifically what happened, but then just had trouble getting a new venue, and then of course financials came up, and
Now, did you guys have to relinquish the championship? Was it like, hey, gonna give your titles back, or was it like, you guys are champions, you guys keep the titles? Like, how did that work far as?
The promoter kept the titles.
Okay,
Those things
okay.
where we show up, hey, here's your belts.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, hey, you show up to the show, here's your championships, promote it. Okay. I know you're a tag title guy, and I do actually have a quote from you. I'm all about controversy. You messaged me and said that you and Chef G were Christian Cash and Dynamite Justin Terrell before it was cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, man.
Yeah, so, and I don't know why at AACW those two get put up on like some kind of special, some little pedestal like they're special. Because me and Chef, we were doing stuff like they were doing before they were even a thought. I think Christian may have been filming in movies or something stupid like that. But no, we came out, again, doing what we want to do. We wanted tag titles. We found a set we liked, and we took them from the champs. And then also, I don't know if it's in your notes there, we were also the last team to be the Lifeline Wrestling
It is, yeah, the Lifeline.
tag champs. Because the tag titles down there were vacant, because the previous
Now, where
champions,
was Lifeline at?
that was down in Salem. Indiana.
Okay. So let's talk about the Lifeline then, since you brought it up. Because it actually is in my notes. So the Lifeline Championships, obviously you and Real Chef G held those. What was that like, man? Like, now was this before or after ICW?
That was after.
Okay, so you guys are riding this high. You never got beat for the ICW titles, right? I mean that's the truth, right?
Correct.
So then you become Lifeline Tag Team Champions.
Yeah, we
Was it like a carryover? Or was it like, well, hey man, we just won these titles. Now we're gonna go win these titles.
Yeah, the time frame, I think, if I remember right, because this was a couple of years ago, actually kind of overlaps a little bit. So there may have been a time or a short period we were actually both Lifeline and ICW, but we just let the promoter know, like, hey, we're gonna show up and we're gonna take over your show, and it was set up to where.
So in like Invasion.
Yeah, pretty much. Like
Okay.
we were in the front row of the audience, and
okay.
he actually got word of it, and the local authorities contacted him asking if they need security for that show, because we were going to come in and do whatever the hell we wanted.
So you guys legitimately like sat in the front row of Lifeline, and you guys basically were like, we're gonna come in, we're gonna kick this team's ass, and we're gonna take these belts. Is that basically what it was? Like,
yeah, at that time, between matches, we hopped the rail, got in the ring, and Chef got on the mic and said we're here for a fight, and we called out the champs. So at that time, they gave us pretty much a non-title match.
okay.
And whooped their asses. And, it wasn't the next show, but it was the show after. They ended up, I think they disbanded or something. I don't know. They're jabronis. They don't matter. We got booked for a tag match, and and then it turns out that the titles were vacant. So the promoter was like, "Hey, this is not for the vacant Lifeline Wrestling Tag Team Championships."
Who did you guys face for the vacated titles?
It was a guy named Big Country, Travis
Okay.
Pittman, and Big Country Zach or I don't know. The dude changes his name so much and everything else. He don't matter either.
Okay. Speaking of tag team again, like I said, I know you're a tag team guy. I know you've done some solo stuff, and we're going to get into that. You and Kris Kaos have done some stuff, and I do want to get into that later. But I do want to bring up really quick AACW Tag Team Championships. You and Scrubby, Bulletproof Posse.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys looking at Justin Terrell and Kris Kaos? Is there a challenge? Is there a emotion in the ocean, I could say, of like, hey man, Bulletproof Posse is here. We're going to execute the Tag Team Championships. And I want to get into the execution of Bulletproof Posse here in a few moments. But I want to ask you, is there a feud that you're trying to set up that you want to see? Are the tag team titles something that you and Scrubby want to go after in AACW?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not even really a matter of having it be a feud. We're just going to, when we decide, hey, we want the belts, we're just going to
take them?
punch them in the mouth and take the belts. And there's not a damn thing they're going to do about it.
So basically what you're saying is, guys, Dynamite, Justin Terrell, Kris Kaos, tag titles, man. I like to see it. Bulletproof Posse against those guys. Obviously, those are Shane's boys. So do you guys feel, because I want to get into a couple tag names here in a minute. I'm going to name off some tag names, and I want your thoughts on them. I really dug deep into, I believe it's like my top 10 favorite tag teams. But I want to ask, being Shane's boys, and you guys almost being outsiders in a way, coming into AACW, do you guys see yourselves that way? Are you guys outsiders as far as like, we've been in these promotions, but now we're here? We've won these championships. I mean, obviously you've won the, ICW and Lifeline tag titles with Real Chef G.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're with Scrubby. Is it something that you're looking to go forward with as far as AACW and then challenging Terrell and Cash for the tag titles? Is being Shane's boys and you guys kind of being outsiders, where does that kind of put you in? Like, do you consider yourself already number one contenders? I mean, because you guys have, you guys do the whole execution thing.
I mean, who else would be if it wasn't? Who else would be number one contenders? I can't name anybody. And I mean, no, we're not really outsiders. It's kind of like, with Midwest Connection. We showed up at AACW. I whooped, what's his, Cheeto, Alucha, whatever. The masked idiot from the previous show.
Lucha Credo.
Sure. I whooped him. And then, I guess now his former tag partner, whatever.
Adam Ray.
Yeah, we beat up both of them the
Execution,
next show.
man.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Lucha Credo, obviously, again, tribute to him. First time I ever took a shot out of a mask with him, I actually hung it there with the chair. But you guys went on record and you said that when they stepped in the ring with you and Scrubby, the Bulletproof Posse was going to do a Bulletproof Posse execution. You guys split that tag team up, man.
Yep.
Now, is that something that when you look back on it, is it like a, we told you so? We did everything we said we were going to do?
Yeah, it's definitely, we did everything that we said we were going to do. And we left them laying, and we beat them down so bad that they turned on each other.
Yeah. I mean, Adam Rain obviously couldn't handle the loss, I guess you call it,
Mm-hmm.
your guys' victory, to where he had to turn, obviously, on his partner. So before we get into these tag teams really quick, I do want to bring it really quick, because I know we brought it up a couple times. The execution. What's the definition, man, of your guys' execution? Is it basically like split up a tag team? Is it just, we're gonna go out there and just beat your ass so bad that you turn on each other? Or what's the bulletproof? What's your definition of the execution? Because I know that's your guys' thing. So what's the execution of the Bulletproof Posse?
pretty much we're gonna show up and we're gonna end you in front of your friends and family. And there's nothing you can do to get out of it.
Okay. So it's just we're showing up. We're the guys, and sorry, but what's the old saying? Get off the tracks because the train's coming.
Sure, we
Is
can use
that pretty much what it is? Like, you guys come into ACW and you're just like, hey man, we're here, and this is what we're gonna do. I want to name a couple tag teams really quick, and I just want to get your quick thoughts on them. I want to start off with, in my personal opinion, one of the greatest tag teams of the modern era, the Young Bucks. Let's talk about Matt and Nick Jackson. What's your thoughts on the Young Bucks?
Yeah,
Bullet Club.
I like them. And there's a lot of people out there that say, "Oh, well, they're just spot monkeys. They're bad for business." Well,
Killing the business, as Jim Cornette would say. Yeah.
Can you do what they do? They changed it. They've reached top level without even
on their own.
Yeah, without even having to go to WWE.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, like young kids, wrestled in their backyards with their buddies, and became what they became pretty much on their own. I mean, let's be honest, right? Another tag team. One of my personal favorites growing up as a kid. I love these guys. Earthquake and Typhoon, the Natural Disasters, man. Where you at with the Natural Disasters?
Yeah, I liked them.
Yeah, big guys, man. Big dudes.
When I was a kid, I actually remember they were setting up the face, I want to say the Bushwhackers.
Yeah.
And they had this cheesy kind of promo thing where they had like a picture of the Bushwhackers' faces on like these dummies that were made out of balloons. And like Typhoon did a splash and the balloons popped and they said that's what we're gonna do to the Bushwhackers. And yeah, so I mean, as a kid, I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. So Natural Disasters. Proof.
Yeah.
Okay. Another one of my favorite tag teams, the Nasty Boys.
Oh yeah.
What's your thoughts on the Nasty Boys, man?
Oh, big fan.
Yeah, big fan. Love what they did.
Yeah. From
I personally love the jackets and the splatter paint look.
Yeah,
awesome.
And the music too.
Yeah, we're the Nasty Boys. Dude, I mean, they were a good team. Like,
I was a little bit more of a fan of the WWE.
Okay, yeah, more than the WCW. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Just because I don't know, a little bit more.
I didn't realize how long that the Nasty Boys actually ran in WCW. I guess I just didn't really pay attention to it as a kid, but then when I became more of an adult, like I am now, I didn't realize that they had such a big run in WCW that they really did. Like, they had a really lengthy run over there. I mean, I remember them bringing in Missy Hyatt as the Nasty Girl, and she ran with them for a little bit as their manager and whatnot.
Yeah.
Harlem Heat, Big Stevie Ray, and Booker T, man, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I remember them being a really dominant tag team.
Who's your favorite of Harlem Heat? Big Stevie or?
I really liked the scissor kick that Booker T did. And I remember they had, I don't remember exactly what their finish was, but I think it was something.
The Harlem Hangover was a setup. It was almost kind of like the Midwest Connection, like Big Stevie. I think, if I remember correctly, I think Big Stevie did like a power slam or something, and then they went into the Harlem Hangover.
Like
no, it was a backbreaker. I think it was like a backbreaker. He held him for a backbreaker, and then Booker did the Harlem Hangover into the backbreaker, I believe is what the finish was. Not a new team, but a team that's been around a while. But maybe a lot of you haven't heard of these guys yet. If you haven't, check them out. They're actually on AEW. Red Dragon, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah, I like them too. Usually, I'm not a fan of the whole bringing MMA to wrestling because I don't feel like the two things mix very well.
Okay.
But they pull it off and they make it cool.
Okay. I want to go to the next two are actually I couldn't pick between the two because I love both of the tag teams. Hollywood Blondes, Stunning Steve Austin, Flying Brian Pillman. I know we were just talking about them earlier in my living room.
Yeah. They're kind of almost like out of like my age range, so I don't really remember them specifically. I mean, I've seen some cool highlights and stuff. Like I think during their entrance, Steve Austin would actually do like the
Oh,
camera roll
yeah,
thing
absolutely,
coming out.
man. They had the clip.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
had a cool theme song.
Yeah, yeah. Now, speaking of theme songs, before we go into this next 3 tag teams, are you one of the guys where you're like, because obviously you know you're a professional wrestler, when it comes to theme music, is there a certain song, and again, we'll get back into these last 3 tag teams in a second, but is there a certain piece of music that you listen to before you hit the curtain, besides your theme music, obviously? Because obviously, you know, you pick the theme music that's going to jack you up on the way to the ring and stuff like that, but is there a certain piece of music that you listen to, an album, an artist? Is there somebody that you throw the headphones on, you're sitting back there with the boys in the locker room, you're like, I'm going to listen to this on repeat, or anything like that? Like,
Typically I have pretty lengthy, at least an hour and a half drive to every show. And I listen to everything from almost like some death metal stuff to even some Lil Jon to some Ice Cube.
okay.
Like it's a very, very wide range.
Now, do you like play into what you're listening to as far as like the character of Kris Kaos?
Yeah, since I kind of tweaked the Kris Kaos gimmick a little bit, because I used to enter to it was Hollywood Undead, Been to
Okay.
Hell.
Okay.
But then I just want to be more aggressive, you know, just be taken seriously, be more ruthless. So that's when I actually switched to a Lil Jon song, which is what I use now.
Okay. So that's what you use now. Now, is that your solo music or is that Bulletproof Posse?
I've actually been using it for both.
Both? Okay. Okay. Now, what Lil Jon song is it that you...
It's Lil Jon featuring MJG. It's called White Meat.
Okay. Okay. So that's kind of the song that, like, obviously, when you're walking out, that's what's jacking you up as far as, like, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to beat this ass, and then I'm going to execute this person, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Getting back into the tag teams, again, a team that I couldn't pick other than the Hollywood Blondes. I want to talk about Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. Super sexy and big sexy. The Outsiders.
No, yeah, I was a huge fan.
Are they not one of the greatest tag teams of all time?
They'd have to be in consideration.
Top 10?
Yeah, easy.
Top 5?
Possibly,
Yeah.
maybe in that 5th spot at the very,
Okay.
at the
Yeah, I can
very
respect that.
least.
Mm-hmm.
Like better than 10 through 6,
Okay.
but it'd be tough picking those top 5.
Okay.
Kind of saying who exactly is better.
Yeah, because like with me, with the Outsiders, I think what I loved about them the most, obviously, you know, Razor Ramon and Big Daddy Cool Diesel being 2 solo guys. Now, obviously, Scott Hall wasn't. You know, he was with the Diamond DDP, the Diamond Man himself, doing that thing. You know, he was a Diamond stud. But I remember, and I brought this up a couple times on the show to a couple other guys. What's your thoughts, man? Because I remember watching that Nitro live when Scott Hall broke kayfabe and he walked through the crowd and he cut that promo. Hey, you want a war? You got a war. You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. Do you remember watching that live? Was that something that you remember seeing?
I
mean, straight up interrupted a match. Didn't even care. He was just like, I'm coming out. I'm going to do my thing. And
Is that when he went up to like Tony Schiavone and the Brain and all them? They had that like pedestal.
that would have been
When they were
the
all sitting?
second week, I think, because that's when he brought in Nash, I believe. I think it was the second week. When he first came in, he actually came in and he interrupted. It had Colonel Parker's guy. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but Colonel Parker was out there. And he actually interrupted a match, and he just came out in the denim and he cut his promo.
Yeah.
And to me, that was the promo that broke the wrestling world. I don't think with wrestling today, and there's always a median in everything that you love and do. Scott Hall was that median. Like, you're going to go left, you're going to go right, or you're just going to go straight, man. And I feel like Scott Hall he said, I'm not going either direction. I'm going to go wherever the hell I want to go. And Scott Hall came in, he got that promo. And to me, wrestling changed. NWO obviously was born off of that. Before we get into the last 2, I want to, because again, I know you're a tag team guy. What's your thoughts, man, on the NWO And by NWO, I don't mean everybody. I mean, like, to me, I've said before, you know, the NWO, I have my members and people have their members. But when Hall and Nash faced Sting, Luger, and Savage at Bash at the Beach, and Hogan came out and turned heel, and he told the fans to stick it, man. I mean, that was a shoot. Hogan was frustrated. He was pissed off at WCW. He thought, man, I went from Titan Towers, I was the man, Hulkamania's running wild forever, go down to WCW, a lot of money's involved, but then he didn't quite get where he wanted to go, so it's like people started booing Hogan, and it's kind of like, well, shit, man, there was not a better time for Hogan to do what he did. And I mean, I think, as far as I remember, he's the only guy to have trash thrown at him in a ring. I mean, the leg drop, I heard around the world, as it was called, the Savage, not once but twice. And then the pin. I mean, Hall counted the pin, which I thought was bullshit because technically the match was not over. So I've argued with a lot of people, and they said, "Well, NWO didn't win." Yeah, no, NWO won. That referee, I don't remember who the referee was. I know it wasn't Nick Patrick, but NWO won that match. I mean, regardless of who counted the 3 count, I don't give a damn. Like, NWO won that. Like, the referee should have got in there. I mean, granted, I think it was Nash that threw the referee out, but still. What's your thoughts on Hogan turning heel, man?
Well, I didn't find out that all that had happened until the next night on Nitro, because back then, you know, social media and the internet wasn't what it is today.
Yeah.
So I remember, because pretty much, like, I had my bedroom, and then my grandpa, who was actually my father figure, was in the other room, and we'd watch it. And we'd switch back, and we had the bedroom doors open to where he'd yell.
Did you do the Raw Nitro thing?
Yeah, like, hey, what are you watching? Oh,
right.
I'm watching that.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I, like, straight bolted into his room. I'm like, did you see that? Like.
So, like, was the NWO, like, a thing for you, like it was for me and my friends at the time, like, two sweet gentlemen, you know who you are. Was it a thing for you where you're like, holy shit, that's Hulk Hogan, man, he just turned heel?
Yeah, it was major.
Greatest heel
shock
turn of
value.
all time.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really put another one with it.
Right.
There's been other shocking moments, but.
Which, and I'm glad that you brought up shocking moments, because I do want to get into that with you. I want to get back on track here really quick, off the Hogan topic. When I first saw you and Scrubby as the Bulletproof Posse, it was at AACW, and I believe it might have been our 3rd, maybe 4th show there. I remember driving home and talking to my wife, Emmy, and I know you and I have talked about this a lot. We were actually just talking about it earlier before we started filming. Public Enemy, man. Mm-hmm. Johnny Grunge and Rocco Rock. The comparison between you two, and it's a huge compliment, because they were one of my favorite tag teams in ECW. So badass. Mm-hmm. Their WCW run, it was good. It was good. It wasn't what their ECW run was, but WCW run was pretty good.
Yeah.
But the comparisons, where are you at with the comparisons? Me saying to you face to face, man to man, dude, you guys remind me of Public Enemy so damn much. And now I know you brought up the Baldies, which I want to bring them up in a second. But as far as Public Enemy goes, comparison wise,
yeah. Actually, the jerseys that I had made were actually inspired by Public Enemy.
Yeah. So, see, and I kind of feel like when we saw you guys, man, I mean, again, like, I remember driving home, and, you know, my wife's a huge wrestling fan. I'm a huge wrestling fan. We love it, man. Our whole family's huge wrestling fans. But I remember driving home, and when I go to, you know, a WWE event or an AEW event or Ring of Honor or whatever event, you know, indie event, I love indies, man. When we drove home that night, I'm not going to lie, man, Bulletproof Posse was the top subject that we talked about on the ride home, because I was just so fucking impressed with the way you guys worked. And I believe you actually worked a solo match that night. Mm-hmm. I think Scrubby was actually on the outside with the Singapore Cane.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just Public Enemy to me. Like, I loved it. I thought I saw you come out. I saw him come out, and my instant, I never saw you guys before, and my instant reaction was, I remember tapping my wife on the leg going, man, these fucking guys remind me of Public Enemy, man. This is badass. So again, Public Enemy fan?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And at that show, that's when we had just the basic T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even have the jerseys just yet.
Mm-hmm.
The jerseys were something that I was coming up with, and that's I don't want. I encourage the comparison, but I don't ever want to be that wrestler or that tag team that go, oh, they're a knockoff version,
Yeah, for sure.
Similarities, sure. But
yeah.
to be blatant, no.
Which I would never do that. You know what I mean? I would never say, oh, you guys are 2.0 Public Enemy.
Yeah.
But the similarities, man, and the way you guys carry yourselves and your in-ring work and just the way you guys work so well together, the Public Enemy thing, I think, to me, will always be embedded in my brain. Again, that's a huge compliment. Rocco Rock and Johnny Grunge were just badasses in ECW. Again, their WCW run was pretty cool, but not as cool as ECW run. Last tag team, I know we were just talking about this on my couch earlier, and I was really fucking impressed that you brought these guys up because these guys do not get enough mention. G.O.D., Gorillas of Destiny, man. Tama Tonga and Tangaloa, Bullet Club. What's your thoughts, man?
I'm a massive fan. I've actually kind of watched their entrances and stuff just on repeat.
Mm-hmm.
And
badass theme song too.
Yeah.
I mean, ain't nobody realer than Gorilla, man. I mean,
and it blows my mind that they haven't came over. I could see why they wouldn't want to go to WWE.
Yeah.
Because WWE
lost in the shuffle, man.
Filters everything and softens it.
Mm-hmm.
But AEW really lets you it seems like they really let you have your own creative freedom.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and
Waiting
lot
on
of
the
guys,
door to open?
Maybe. I mean, they already had
Who's the match you're looking for, man? Gorillas show up, AEW Dynamite or Rampage, stop the show, because they will stop the show. I mean, that's just what it is. So what's the team? Who are they interrupting? Who are they fucking over in the match?
You know what? Let's go for the top. Let's say Young Bucks.
I love it.
Young Bucks can win a hard-fought matchup they usually do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you dim
Bullet
the lights.
Club feud, man.
Yeah, you dim the lights. All of a sudden, you see the helicopter sound effects and all that coming up on the screen.
Firing Squad, man.
Yeah, and they start walking down.
So Young Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Because, I mean, man, do you remember the Civil War with Bullet Club? Love the Civil War storyline.
Can't say
When it was Team Cody, Team Kenny, and everybody was torn.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah?
A little bit.
So, you're going to go Young Bucks, Gorillas show up, Young Bucks. And I think that's awesome because that right there, I mean, that would go back into that, tying into that Civil War storyline from New Japan Pro Wrestling. And speaking of New Japan, I know, again, we were talking about New Japan earlier. I know we brought up Okada earlier. I am personally a fan of Okada. I know a lot of people have said he's the John Cena of New Japan. I really don't give a shit. The guy goes 90 plus minutes with Kenny Omega, and I'm sorry, but Kenny Omega is the best bout machine. He's the Terminator.
Yeah.
Would you put, who would you put Okada with if he showed up in AEW? Because we know it's coming, we just don't know when. I mean, the feuds the feuds write themselves. The storyline writes itself.
If you made it not being AEW specific,
him minus Chaos. He's not bringing his group. It's just Okada shows up. Kenny 3.
I mean, maybe.
Hangman.
Yeah.
Bryan Danielson.
Well, let's. I would almost say Hangman. Have Hangman, still defend his title a bunch.
So Okada's coming in just title.
Why not?
I want it.
Because you could have Hangman, have a lengthy run, almost kind of like how sometimes in UFC a dominant champion clears out the division.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is left for Hangman?
Kind of like you said with Gorillas, lights go off. Okada, Rainmaker, man, money starts falling from the rafters.
Yeah, I mean.
Let's go back to G.O.D. really quick, because again, I feel like these guys do not get enough mention. sons of the legendary King Haku.
Yeah.
Haku, another great tag team he was with, the Barbarian, the Faces of Death. Or the Faces of Fear, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Faces of Fear.
Kevin Sullivan, too.
Oh my God, dude. I mean, they were, obviously he was mean, at that time. Did you remember hearing stories in WCW when Eric Bischoff needed to fire somebody? And he didn't want to fire that person by himself, so he would go get King Haku / Ming and back him. Or he would send Ming to go do it and be like, hey, Eric Bischoff said you're fired. Because stories go, nobody messed with King Haku. Do you remember hearing things like that?
I think so, because it was something about and all it took was someone getting into one fight, and then they realized just what type of a person he is. Didn't he bite the fingers or something?
Yeah.
Broke fingers, something around those lines.
Yeah, I mean, King Haku was just that guy where he just didn't really give a shit. I think he was just that badass guy, and then for him to produce the 3 seeds that he actually produced. Because again, we're talking about God, but then you got to talk about Hikuleo, Stretch. I mean, the younger brother who's actually bigger than the other 2 brothers. You know what I mean? He's the young boy. But going off of God, I want to ask you really quick. Start in the business. How did you start in the business, man?
Well, I was actually working at a place called Aaron's, the rent-to-own company in Columbus, and we the not branch manager, store manager, started talking to the local wrestling promotion there, which is HPW, Hoosier Pro Wrestling.
Okay.
And somehow they started talking, and then the promoter goes, "Hey, if Aaron's sponsors our show, we can get you guys bring in Friday night, do a little beginner training wrestling session." And they're like, "All right, cool, we can do that." That's Scrubby.
Is it Scrubby?
Yeah.
Stands for. All right, we got Scrubby, Kris Kaos' tag team partner on the line here.
Hey, Scrubby, can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, man? You're on sWs. You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Right on, man. Hey, man, sorry you couldn't be here, obviously, because of work, brother.
That's all good, man. I gotta do what I gotta do.
Hey, you got to support the family, right?
Yep.
Hey, there you go. Hey, brother, I'm really glad you called, because we were actually, and it's funny that you actually called when we were talking about, we just got off a topic of tag teams, so we're going to go back to your start in the business, Kris, here in just a second. But now that Scrubby's on the line, hey, brother, I want to run down, because I just asked Kris, I want to run down, I won't do the whole list of the tag teams that I just asked Kaos, but I'm just going to pick a couple that are my personal favorites. We just got off the topic of Gorillas of Destiny from New Japan Bullet Club, man. I want to ask your thoughts on Gorillas of Destiny, bro.
New Japan?
Yeah.
Man, to be honest with you, I don't know much about New Japan.
Okay. Well, let me do this then. Let me cut the list really short, really fast. I'll bring up a tag team because I was just telling Kris here. When we first saw you guys in AACW, Kris actually worked a solo match that night. And my wife and I, the hot topic, man, when we were driving home, we made the hour drive home. We were talking about how we referred to you guys as comparison to Public Enemy, Rocco Rock and Johnny Grunge. What's your thoughts on that, man?
I can see bits and pieces of that, yeah.
Okay.
We come out kind of, streak, and we got the jerseys on, and the vibe is kind of the same, so yeah, I can see that.
Okay, cool. So, compliment then?
Sure.
Okay, so sure but not sure,
No, man, they
ECW run was way better than the WCW run, obviously, but...
Yeah, and the WCW run was way better than the WWF run.
Oh, yeah, oh, hey, absolutely. I mean, everything WWF, WWE nowadays is just, I mean, I'm sorry, Vince, but it's trash. Roman is owning the show, but and I never thought I'd ever say that shit in a million years. But while we have you on the line, man, I want to talk about. I know I brought this up to Kris earlier. Bulletproof Posse, executions, man. You guys obviously broke up the Gateway. Adam Rain and Lucha Guerrero. Tag title run. I asked Kris about it earlier. He said tag titles are in the future, man. So, is there a feud with you and Kris against Justin and Christian? And before you answer it, I'm going to take Kris's phone really quick. I'm going to get a little closer to the speaker here and a little closer to the mic. But yeah, man, my question is, so is a challenge being laid out? I know Kris has laid it out, so you're going to back this challenge up, man. Justin Terrell, Christian Cash, AACW Tag Team Championship.
I just got to say this. Anybody with those titles, we're coming for them. I don't care who they are. They're going to be ours one day.
So you guys are definitely looking at the Tag Team Championships.
Yep.
And brother, man, I really, I know you and I were talking earlier. I definitely want to get you on an episode again. I mean, maybe when you come back, or maybe when you come on, Kris can come back with you guys, and maybe we can do a Bulletproof Posse episode. We can do something special with that. But one of my last questions, man, is this. Favorite tag team of all time. I know now. I know you're a hardcore deathmatch guy. I know at an AACW event when the lights went down and the curtains closed, I know you and I were talking about some deathmatch stuff. But favorite tag team of all time, man.
Oh shit! I don't fucking know.
Put you on the spot, huh?
I don't really have like the favorite tag teams. I got favorite wrestlers, but.
All right, well, let's do that then. For the fans watching, man, which all-time favorite wrestler and all-time current?
Oh, all-time favorite, man, that's hard to do. I can name, like the top 5, like top 3 real quick.
All right, what's your top 3? Now, is this current or all-time?
All-time.
Okay. Eddie Guerrero.
Fuck, I just forgot his name. He does the crossface chicken wing. The crazy guy.
Bob Backlund?
Yeah, I love Bob Backlund.
Right. First time his name's been mentioned. Okay, cool.
Yeah, everybody's like, what, you like Bob Backlund? I'm like, dude, he's great.
Little trunks, little boots, man.
Oh, yeah. And, oh, shit. I said Eddie Guerrero, Bob Backlund. And me.
And you. Right? Nothing wrong with mentioning yourself, right?
Yeah.
Right on, man. Really quick, man, before we let you go, I want to do one more quick question. Again, we brought this up earlier. I want to ask you really quick. Again, going back to Justin Terrell and Christian Cash, what type of match, man, would you win the tag titles in?
Street fight.
Street fight.
Yeah, I'm always down for a good street fight.
Awesome. I love that, man. So are you thinking near future?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say as soon as Shane stops protecting them.
Yeah.
Is Shane protecting the tag team champions, man?
If Kris thinks so, yeah.
I'm going to look at the camera really quick, brother. Shane Kaos, you know I love you, dude, but Bulletproof Posse has made it very, very clear that you are protecting the AACW Tag Team Championships with Dynamite and Cash. So with that being said, book the match, man. I mean, maybe it's time. Maybe the Bulletproof Posse, I mean, after all, they did break up the Gateway, you know what I mean? They said they were going to come out and they were going to execute them. They did. Adam Rain turned heel, turned on his partner. So, Tag Team Championship, man. Brother, appreciate the call. Anything you want to say, man, before we let you go?
I'm good.
Scrubby's good, man. Kris, anything you want to say to Scrubby?
No, I'm good, man. Take it easy, brother.
All right, man.
Hey, appreciate the call, brother. I'm sorry you couldn't be here, man, but hope your work night goes easy.
Yeah.
All right.
You Rob Zombie looking motherfucker.
Hey, thank you, man. I am a Rob Zombie looking motherfucker. Thank you.
All right.
All right, brother. You have a good night, man. Later. All right, so let's go back to the start in the business, man.
So yeah, I was saying the promoter at the time of Hoosier Pro Wrestling had offered our store manager, for partial sponsorship. We can come in and do some training and stuff the night before the show. And then he got to thinking about it. We were doing like basic, practicing running ropes. Or I should say at that time, learning how to run the ropes.
Okay.
Take, front bump, back
bump, yeah.
Take a clothesline, just basic day one stuff. He goes, hey, if I put together a battle royal, would you guys want to do that? And I answered for the store manager and said yes, absolutely. And ultimately we were in a battle royal the next night, and then I went on to eventually kind of do some spot training here and there with a guy who honestly brought me into the business. After that whole battle royal and all that, I followed our trainer, who was Cousin Cooter Clampett.
Okay. And that was actually one of my questions too. So trainer was him?
Yes.
Okay.
He took me under his wing, and I traveled with him a little bit, and then I ended up having a show, or a match at a show, also HPW. They used
Hoosier
to do
Pro, right?
Hoosier
Okay.
Pro Wrestling in the JD Byrider parking lot as kind of like a charity show, and I had a singles match.
Okay. So now, did you start off? So you obviously start off as a singles guy then.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, hey, we're gonna put you with this guy, and this is what you guys are gonna do. Mentor, like the guy who really set you down. I mean, who's that guy that really took 5 minutes out of his day to be like, hey, kid, let me talk to you about some stuff.
Back then it was Cousin Cooter.
Yeah. So you would go on record and just say that Cousin Cooter was the guy that took the time to set you down.
If it wasn't for him, ultimately, I don't even know if I'd be sitting here right now.
Now, was he Hoosier Pro as well then?
Yeah, he was Hoosier Pro. Nowadays, he's working at Primitive Pro Wrestling out of Bedford.
Okay. Now with obviously, you obviously started as a singles competitor, singles pro wrestler. Where did the tag man come up at? Like, was it? I mean, obviously, was Midwest Connection the first tag team?
Yeah.
Okay. So was it like, hey, you go in the doors, promoter's like, hey, we're gonna put you and you together, see what you guys can do, or was it? Did you go to him? Did he go to you? Whose idea was it as far as putting the tag team together?
It was kind of a mutual interest of mine and Chef's, because at the time Chef was from Illinois.
Okay.
And we were booked on the same card but separate. And I don't know, we just got to talking and became friends and added each other on Facebook. And I was like, hey, would you be interested in forming a tag team? And coming up with the name and everything actually took a couple of months, because we probably erased a grocery list of possible names. And I'm like, no, that doesn't hit right. It just doesn't. It's okay, but nah.
Dude, the Midwest Connection, badass name. Badass name, because obviously you're from Indiana, and then he's from Illinois, Midwest. So Connection, man, you throw that in there.
Yeah, and I was kind of going back to my music preferences. Who was I listening? I was driving down the interstate, and it was it's a rap group that has Ice Cube and some other people in it.
West Coast Connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was it West Side Connection?
West Side Connection. That's
West
what
Side
it was.
Connection.
Yeah.
And I'm driving. I'm like, okay. I'm like, hey, me and Chef could be Midwest Connection. And I'm like I think I braked and pulled out my.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's it.
Yeah.
That
kind of
is
one of the
it.
moments where it's like, I like that name. Merch? Like, was there merch? Like, did you guys go out? Because obviously, the matches that I've seen, you guys had similarity ring gear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it? How long did you guys last?
Honestly, a solid 2 years.
Yeah, because I mean, you obviously won multiple tag team championships, so you guys went about 2 years then.
Mm-hmm.
So when did, before I get into this next question, when did you guys get into Bulletproof Posse? Like, when did you and Scrubby?
Well,
Because he's a deathmatch guy.
yeah.
And then, so how did Kris Kaos and Scrubby 69 man hook up, and you guys were like, hey, we're gonna do the Bulletproof Posse?
Well, Chef had ultimately forgot like the time frame exactly, but he had moved away, and I was actually trying to take care of an injury because I thought I was done potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So I was probably on the shelf. I put myself on the shelf for probably like a solid 6 months,
Yeah.
and then Chef moved to Texas, and I was kind of going around, still just doing some single wrestling, just filling in where I could just to stay active. And then I met Scrubby, and then he was actually doing a booking where he needed a tag partner, and he had posted on Facebook, and I commented I'm free. And then I was like, all right, cool. He messaged me the address and stuff. We met up there, and just in warm-ups, like we were communicating without saying anything.
Okay.
Like we were able to instantly just go move to move to move, and not a word was said. Like we didn't have to go, hey.
No rest period or nothing like
Irish
that.
whip clothesline. Like we didn't have to say anything.
Okay.
And
So it was just like, you guys just clicked.
yeah.
Okay. I'm going to step off camera really quick and use the bathroom. That's what we do here. I mean, hey, we got to piss, you got to piss. I drink a lot. I want to ask you this. What titles, man, as far as solo run? I know a couple names have been mentioned. One of them is a good buddy of mine, Damon Deville, Ryan. I know you were talking about the ACW Excellence Championship. Now, is that something that you're still looking at? Are you looking at more of a... I guess my question is this. Obviously, the question that I asked originally was, what titles are you looking at? Obviously, you and Scrubby want the tag team championships.
Yeah.
But now, as far as... Because I know you've been doing... You know, you're not opposed to doing single matches, which I do want to get into Christian Cash here in a little bit. But as far as titles that you're looking at in AACW, obviously the World's Championship. Everybody wants to be the man, right? Let's go here. Damien Deville. I know there's been some talks. What's your thoughts on the Excellence Championship with Damien Deville, man?
Honestly, I'm working on just climbing the ladder and taking them down one at a time.
Okay.
But honestly, at first, I was all for going up and smacking him in the mouth and taking his title. But after kind of reading other comments and stuff on social media, he's kind of in a situation now being called out by everyone. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me of...
He's a hot commodity, man.
Well...
Everybody wants that title, it seems like. I've talked to a lot of you guys in the locker room, and it seems like, man, a lot of people want that championship. Workhorse title.
Yeah, but the way I'm looking at it right now is I watched a pretty rough video. It was a little gazelle out in Africa, and it somehow got out of the jaws of an alligator just to get taken down by a lion, just for the lion to get ran off by a pack of hyenas. And right now, the way I look at it, he's just kind of that poor little gazelle. And something that eventually is going to take him down. And if I'm that pack of hyenas at the end, so be it.
Okay. So, Excellence Championship, possibly in the future. Like, is that something that... I guess my thing is this. I know Scrubby's been in your corner in solo matches. So, is that something that you're looking at as far as Deville? Like, is that a championship that you would like to win on your own? Would you want your first AACW championship to be a solo or a tag?
It's a pretty good question. I guess whatever happens, happens. Honestly.
If you had your pick, what would you want to put you on the spot? What would Kris Kaos want? Your first championship in AACW. Would you like to take down Dynamite and Cash? Would you like to take down Deville?
I guess I want to take down Deville.
Yeah.
Comes down to it.
Yeah. So is that a match that you're looking forward to? Like as you, I know, and I love the fact that you mentioned, you know, climbing the ranks, you know, knocking guys down, because obviously in the business, you know, you earn your stripes. You know what I mean? If you got Deville one-on-one, what type of match would you want it, man? Standard wrestling match, submission match, Iron Man, steel cage,
Probably just
hardcore.
Probably just. Actually, you know what? Probably don't hear about this much, but make it a no count out.
Okay. Okay.
So you can, if it goes outside the ring.
It goes outside the ring.
Cool.
Yeah.
But make it to where the pin or submission has to happen in the ring.
Okay. Okay. So again, so it's going back to like you just said. If you guys are on the outside, you guys are on the outside. You ain't gotta worry about no 10 count. The ref ain't gonna count you guys out. Ain't no bullshit finish.
Mm-hmm.
What is your finish for the match?
I just scoop him up and drop him on his head with the Death Valley Driver.
Yeah. Okay. I know we were talking earlier about tag teams, and I do want to get into you and Christian Cash in a second. A tag team that I didn't mention, that I do want to mention, I know you and I, it actually wasn't on my list, I purposely not put it on there, was the Baldies. I know you are a huge fan of the Baldies. Where do you and Scrubby line up with the Baldies?
Well, for those who don't know, the Baldies, during their intro, during their song, it has
And we're going ECW.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a police radio, and it says, "Officer down, rogue street gang, the Baldies."
Badass theme too.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
awesome.
pretty much the same concept.
Hypes you up.
Yeah, rogue street gang, bulletproof posse. You already know what's going to happen next.
So the whole execution thing, was that something that like you and Scrubby came up with? Or was it something that Scrubby came up with, or something you came up with, or was it just like a mutual thing? Again, going back to the whole, because being a tag guy, obviously, it's 50-50. You know what I mean? You run ideas by him, he runs ideas by you, which I want to get into a topic too that you and I actually were talking about the other night, which I think is a badass idea, by the way. But was the execution something that you both came up with, or was it an idea you had or he had and you ran it off each other? Or?
It was honestly just something I started doing because you want to separate yourself from everybody else.
Yeah, for sure.
And
stand out, man. Because if you don't stand out in the wrestling business, I mean, let's be honest, you're going to get lost in the shuffle. If you don't have a cool look, which by the way, you have an awesome look. But yeah, anyway.
And I was thinking, what kind of goes with the name Bulletproof Posse? Execution. Because I think Bulletproof, instantly for whatever reason, the old videos on YouTube of literally standing in front of a firing squad, public execution.
Yes.
The way back when they used to hang people in the middle of downtown cities, public execution by the Bulletproof Posse.
So was that, again, so going back, was it something that so obviously you come up with the execution, was that something that you ran by Scrubby being, again, 50-50 tag partner, like?
Honestly, no. I just started doing it.
Just started doing it and then just kind of fell into place. Okay. I got to ask, too, before we get into the topic that I really do want to know about, because the idea that you sent me was fucking awesome, and we're going to get into that right after this question. But I have to ask, where did Kris Kaos come from? Because obviously your real name is Kris.
Yeah.
Change the spelling, obviously. But where did Kris Kaos come from?
Well, when I was coming up, kind of going way back to the whole errands and everything, I was talking to another vet. I'm like, man, I'm not sure what name I should really go with. And the vet was like, hey, I personally like names that are a spin-off of the person's actual name. So I'm like, okay, well, Kris Kris what? I'm like, Kris Kaos. That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then.
Love the spelling too. The spelling's badass.
Mhm,
I
yeah.
mean, just simple, easy. Like,
And then I was like, well, again, how do I want to spell it? Because I certainly don't want to do it the regular way.
Yeah.
Because that'd look lame and boring.
right.
So.
So adding the K, to both names, you know what I mean? I want to go here, because like I said, I've been bringing this up now the last few minutes. You sold me on it, man. Badass fucking idea. And I'll go on record, badass idea. I'm a huge horror fan. Love Jason Voorhees. That's my dude. I love Jason. Bulletproof Posse hockey mask. I know you were shooting the idea to me the other night. Let's talk about that, man. I love it. I think badass.
Yeah, well, our guy Tim shot the idea to me, and I kind of kicked it around because again, you want to stand out and you want to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big fan of like the Purge,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want to come out with the cheesy smiley face mask because that's been done before.
Yeah.
There's other indie wrestlers out there that go by the Purge, but how can we implement the Purge concept without being the Purge?
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, that would look pretty sweet on a Jason mask.
Yeah. Badass. I mean, dude, like when you sent me that text and you said, man, I'm thinking about doing these hockey masks. I instantly, being a huge Jason Voorhees fan, I thought that was the coolest thing. I could see you guys coming out and just having the logo on the mask. Dude, let's go back to like another tag team again. You look at the Road Warriors. They had their face paint.
Mm-hmm.
But going to the mask, Demolition.
Yeah.
That's a tribute in a way, is it not? Like, it's similar, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
Doing your guys' own thing with it. Who the fuck comes out in a hockey mask, like with the logo, man?
Well, there's a couple independent guys that do use the hockey mask.
Okay.
But they're always altered. Like one of them have kind of like some face paint on it. But I don't, and I could be wrong. There could be something out there, but I don't think any of them have their logo on it. And my idea is because when I come out and Scrubby doesn't have to wear one, that's fine.
Yeah.
I was thinking about just mixing it in, with our tag team, but also I'd wear it out. Like he doesn't have to, but I would. That way it's still there. But then also for the entrance, wear it out. I'll do my thing, and then after that, I'd lift it up, and then I'd still have my bandana and my headband on underneath.
Yeah.
And just kind of wear it, kind of like Eminem. He did some concerts where he wore it on top of his head.
Where he wore the hockey mask,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd wear it
sure.
like that, going around the ring.
Bring it up really quick. I do want to ask this because I'm actually really intrigued on this. I know being a pro wrestler, you come up with what you come up with. Your gimmick, your ideas, and stuff like that. How does it work with ideas and gimmicks and situations when you're in a tag team? Because see, you're honestly the first guy that I've had on this show. I've had a lot of firsts, but you're the first guy that I've actually had that's been in a legitimate tag team. So my question is, because I'm very intrigued, I know you can come up with ideas. I come up with ideas. But when you have a partner and you got to run these ideas by that partner, how does that work, man? Like, how is it, like, you guys text each other? You guys call each other? Like, how does that work where you're like, hey, man, I got this idea? Because, obviously, you got to run it by your tag partner and things like that. So, it's a 50... Is a tag team not a marriage?
I look at it as, like, a small business owner.
Okay,
Where it's like, hey, man,
Okay.
I've had this great idea. I'll text you, send you a couple pictures of it. Just get back to me when you're free. And that's
For sure.
pretty much how it goes.
But is it difficult, like, being in a tag team? I'm not saying anything bad about a tag team. I love tag team wrestling. I do. I think, hey, if you can be, going back to the Gorillas and, the Nasty Boys and stuff like that, You know, I love tag team wrestling. I do because, you know, Roman Reigns can go out here and he can do his thing, but the Usos, they're a tag team, so they've got to be on the same page. They got to do their thing. The Nasty Boys had to do that. You know, being Hulk Hogan's one thing, but you know, when you're the Mega Powers and you got Hogan and Savage, and you got to, you know, what I mean, you got to bring the shit together. So again, going back, how does that differ, man? Being Kris Kaos, but then, you know, solo run, but then being Kris Kaos with Scrubby in the Bulletproof Posse, like, you know, because I mean, it is a marriage, you know, like you are married to your tag team partner in a way. It's just like when I used to play music, you're married to your bandmates, you know what I mean? So it's like, hey, I have this idea, but you know, it's like, how does that work out? Like, how is it that you know, do your solo run, but then you're like, hey, I'm in this tag team, you know?
Well, I always ask, hey, what for, like, as far as like I'll start with bookings. Hey, you know, what weekends are you free? And then he goes, well, I'm available this date and this date, but not this date. And then I'll hit up a couple of promoters. And I'm like, hey, do you need a tag team? We're available this date and this date if you're interested. And just kind of work from there. But then as far as ideas go, I'd probably blow up Scrubby's phone 10 times. At least, we'll say a minimum of about 15 times a week. Just shooting ideas.
That's good, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the thing, though, man. And that's being real, people. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you know, because being you know, I've had a lot of solo wrestlers on here, you know what I mean? And then, you know, you're, like I said, man, you know, I've had a lot of firsts. You're the first legitimate tag team wrestler I've had on here. Nothing against Terrell and Cash or Brody and Travis. They're not necessarily booked as a tag team. They are, but they're not. You guys are a legitimate tag team. So I guess my thing is, it's like, you know, when you look back on it and you go, all right, I got this idea. I got to pass it on to my tag partner. Is it usually a mutual agreement as far as, is it flip a coin? Is it, you know, draw a card, highest card wins? Like, how do you guys go about, like, what you guys are going to do? Like,
we really just kind of run everything by each other, honestly, and just, because he'll have some ideas I may not, I'm like, I don't know, man. And then vice versa, like, dude, that sounds stupid. But then we'll have like one or two things that we're like, okay, all right, well, we'll just run with that.
Now, are you and Scrubby from the same town?
Yeah, we only live about 10 miles apart.
Really? So you guys are tight then. So you guys obviously hang out quite a bit. So, which makes it nice, you know, being a tag team when you're able to. Because see, that's the thing about a good tag team, man. When you think, like, when you look back and you watch old documentaries or whatever, you know, when you become a tag team, you travel together, you ride together, you learn from each other. Excuse me. You learn from each other. You know each other inside and out. Is that where you guys are at as far as, I mean, because you guys seem like a fucking unit, man. When you guys are in the ring together, I mean, you guys seem like you guys are brothers. Like, you guys work well together. Like, I mean, from what I've seen as a fan standpoint, I would have thought you guys were like roommates or, you know, buddy. You know what I mean? Like, is that?
I mean, and another thing that's also important is we are extremely upfront with each other.
Yeah.
Like, after I had a match, you know, on the car ride home, it's like, hey man, you know, I like this and I like that and that's cool, but I didn't like this. Like, all right, cool, man, noted.
Do you guys travel together?
Most of the time, yeah.
Most of the time. So you guys critique each other's moves, matches, ideas, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's important, right?
I would say so.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
Without some type of, I guess, say, constructive criticism, you're never going to change. You're just going to think, oh, this looks great. I'm going to do it forever.
Yep.
You need to know, hey, man, that's not working, or this doesn't, it's cool and all, but tweak it up a little bit.
Where did you meet, well, not where, well, yeah, where and how did you meet Scrubby and how did you two form?
I was actually doing...
I know we spoke briefly about it
Yeah.
a minute ago, but...
I was actually booked for a singles match at ICW right before the Midwest Connection debut at ICW. I had a singles match there, And then they had an overlapping show. They had a regular ICW show, and after that, it was they had a deathmatch show. And Scrubby was booked on a deathmatch show.
Okay.
And he came in.
Was this the night after or night before, you said?
Oh, same night.
Oh, same night. Okay.
Yeah, so when I was in the back changing, just kind of chilling and everything after the show, he came in, with his gear and stuff, and started chit-chatting, and ultimately just seeing that we were at the same place at the same time more and more. We just started talking.
Where the Bulletproof Posse name come from? As far as I know, again, we talked about this briefly, but were you two like in agreement as far as? And I'm only asking because, like I said, he's not here, obviously, so I always have to ask you. But as far as your 50% in the tag team, was it like, hey man? I mean, obviously the West Side connection thing, or going back to the Midwest connection with that. But as far as Bulletproof Posse, where did you guys?
Well, he's a hardcore juggalo, and
Okay.
he'll be the first one to tell you that. So I'm like, okay, so let's take the word posse. Like, what sounds cool with posse? And I went through a bunch of words. I'm like, no, and then if I
Because the
remember,
Bulletproof thing's badass, man. I mean, that's cool.
and I think if I remember right, again, music influenced. I think the song "Bulletproof" by Godsmack came on the radio.
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, Bulletproof Posse. I'm like,
Okay.
and at first I didn't love it. I'm like, that's not bad. And then I shot the idea to him. He goes, okay. He felt the same way. He was like, that's all right. And I'm like, well, let me draw up some logos. Let me try to figure something out and see if we can't, like, there it is,
Yeah.
And then I was like, what's something different but still cool? Like, I don't know, I just scrolling through random images on Google, and then I'm like, hey, you know what if we take, because originally my first idea was the smiley face that had X's for eyes.
I was going to ask about the logo. Okay, so yeah.
Then I was like, no, and then I found just the sad face, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, what if I made it black and white? And I'm like, okay, and then I forget why. No, because I was going bulletproof, and I'm like, what can go with bulletproof? Bullet holes maybe. And then I found like, hey, this is a cool looking one. So I saved it, edited it out to where I could just put it in a photo editing app.
Because you told me, man, you did all this on your phone.
Yeah.
I mean, just, yeah.
And so I saved it because I didn't even think I could actually edit something that small and detailed. And I uploaded the black and white smiley face, took the bullet hole, blading bullet hole, and put it in there. I'm like, okay. Because at first I was kind of thinking, again with kind of a reference to the Firefly Funhouse, like kind of like crayon writing backwards letters for Bulletproof Posse.
Sure.
It didn't fit.
And I love the fact that you use like the crayon writing because that's just badass.
I was like, the multicolored thing, I'm like, I don't know. So I just went with red and black, which it's not on here, but it is on that logo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because originally I was going to have Bulletproof Posse, and I tried that, and I'm like, that makes a really tall logo, but I'm like, I can fit it just underneath the frown face.
Going off topic, I know we were talking earlier sitting on my couch in the living room. I actually have maybe asked this question to a couple other people, but maybe not in this way. I know I haven't put in two names. So I want to ask you this. Fatal Five-Way, Bullet Club, leaders. We'll go Kenny Omega. We'll go Adam Cole, baby. AJ fucking Styles. Finn Balor. Switchblade Jay White. Fatal Five-Way. Elimination. Who goes first?
Oh man, might sound kind of bad, but I'll go with Jay White because I'm not
Okay.
quite familiar with his work.
Okay.
Um,
So Jay White's out.
Yeah.
So fatal 4-way now.
And it'd
Kenny
be-
Omega, Adam Cole, Styles and Balor. Who goes next?
I'm gonna go Balor. And
See
it
that.
could just
See
be
that.
based of how he is currently.
Yeah, booked. Yeah.
Maybe
Booked
if it was
poorly.
his New Japan when he was like
Prince
top,
Devitt. Yeah.
maybe outlast a couple more people, but right now, no. And it's
Okay.
nothing against him. Like,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he was
he's
booked,
awesome.
I mean, Prince Devitt was booked great in New Japan. He's, Finn Balor, the Demon, whatever, which I hated, by the way. Vince was like, oh, the Demon King, Finn Balor. And I'm like,
I kind of.
it's Finn Balor. Like, anyway. So White's out, Balor's out, triple threat. We got Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, and AJ Styles.
Now it gets interesting.
Yes.
Like,
Does it not get interesting now? Yeah, because now we're getting down to the nitty gritty.
why not, for shock value, Adam Cole pins AJ Styles?
So Styles is out. Man, would that not be a huge shock factor?
And then Omega and Adam Cole.
And we could get that now.
A swerve you've never seen coming.
We could get that now.
Because you
Does
instantly,
Kenny Omega and Adam Cole team up to take out Styles?
No, it's a brawl for all.
Okay. So we got 1-on-1, the Terminator, the Cleaner, the best bout machine. Yeah, I'm gonna hype Kenny up like a motherfucker on this show. Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, baby. Who takes it, man?
Where is this taking place?
New Japan,
You have to go Omega.
Omega. All right,
It's
let's
going
go.
to be a hard-fought battle, multiple kickouts, multiple Panama Sunrises.
If we went America, would it change? So you're gonna go Kenny Japan. Would it change in Ring of Honor?
I think I might go,
Cole.
yeah.
So Tokyo Dome sold out. Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, baby.
I'm giving
Going Kenny.
anything overseas, I'm going to give the advantage to
Kenny?
Omega.
Out of the 5 that I just mentioned, Kenny Omega, the best bout machine. Adam Cole, baby. The phenomenal, and he is phenomenal, AJ fucking Styles, man. Prince Devitt, Finn Balor, and the Switchblade, Jay White. Minus a match, man. Who would you go with? Who's your top guy out of those 5?
Shockingly, I'm actually a Styles fan.
There's nothing shocking about that, though,
got
because,
it.
it's AJ Styles, man. I mean...
I actually got a 2 sweet from AJ Styles at a
Nice.
SmackDown house show
Nice.
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
It's been
okay.
a minute.
Okay. So you're going to go Styles out of all of them?
Yeah.
Yep,
I guess just because
Styles.
of that moment.
I know we were talking earlier, again, sitting on my couch. I mentioned to you a dream match that we still have not yet seen, which is the Cleaner, Kenny Omega, versus the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. Kenny turned heel, kicked AJ out of Bullet Club. Bullet Club turned on AJ. What's your thoughts on that? As far as match you want to see, who's the winner? No matter where it's at. We'll just say it's on American soil, Japanese soil, China, Russia, I don't care.
I would say, because I feel like Omega still has, even when he comes back from everything he has going on, I still feel like he has a couple more years in the tank. So maybe as a salute to AJ's career, AJ goes over.
AJ goes over. Okay, yeah. I can totally see that. Yeah, okay, right on. I always ask this question. I'll ask you too. I want to do... I'm not going to ask the same question. I'm going to change it. We're not going to do a top 5. We're just going to do number 1. Favorite current wrestler? Any promotion? Who's the guy that's just like, when you see him, you're like, that's my guy, man. That's the guy. Like, that's the man. Current.
Man, that's because there's certain people I always make sure I check out because I don't, unfortunately, I don't get to watch live wrestling. I just got to
Me
check
either,
out
man.
highlights.
I work at a hospital. I work nights, so I gotta watch,
But-
DVR shit. You know what I mean? All my buddies are watching stuff live, and I'm like, I have to stay off social media for
Yeah.
5, 6, 8 hours. You know what I mean? Just yeah.
But I'm a fan of certain people for different reasons.
Okay.
Man, but overall favorite right now,
Yeah. Who's the man in Kris Kaos' mind?
and this is gonna sound bad because I can't remember his first name, but I know him as Alistair Black.
Tommy Inn.
Yeah,
Tommy Inn, man.
I
Malachi.
gotta say,
Bad
he's the
motherfucker,
one
man.
highlight I always make sure I check out.
I think you're the first guy too to ever mention Tommy Inn on this show.
But also, strictly off of Mike's skills alone, MJF. Because dude says some stuff, man. Like,
Him and Punk's promo, I don't know if you caught it from,
I've
it would have
caught
been Dynamite from this last Wednesday.
Mhm.
Because we're on Saturday, folks. Episode airs Monday. But obviously, we're a few days behind. But man, dude, yeah, MJF, like, mic work is phenomenal. I mean, oh my god, dude. I mean, the crowd just eats his shit up. Like, instant heat.
And then, again, going off mic work, I wish they wouldn't. They kind of start to censor him up a little bit, but the guy from the Acclaimed that comes out with the freestyle.
Yes. Oh god, I'm on the spot now. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Because he said some very controversial stuff about
He does,
the Olympic.
man. He's brought up Cena
girl.
a couple times, like.
Don't censor him. Like, don't let him
Yeah,
come out and be
yeah,
vulgar.
for sure. Now his buddy, I'm not.
It's his hype man, though.
Nothing against his buddy, but I'm like, dude, that other dude's a star. Like, so I know you mentioned two. So current, wrestling wise, you're going Tommy Inn, Malachi Black.
Yeah, I mean.
My skill wise, you're going MJF, Maxwell Jacob Freeman.
Yeah.
Okay, all time. Any promotion.
You know,
whatever.
I feel bad because now I reflect back. I forgot to give a mention to somebody who actually, I didn't even realize he impacted the overall image of Kris Kaos. But because I mainly watch and keep up with AEW, I didn't.
Okay, so we're going off somebody that you actually are influenced by then.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
Honestly, and it took my wife pointing this out. Kevin Owens.
Yeah, KO, man. Kevin
Mike
Steen,
Skill.
dude. Oh my god.
And then in-ring ability. Because I went off, I'm like, hey.
Big man, but dude, he can move.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, hey, I'm going to start. Kevin Owens does this. And then I got in the ring and tried. I'm like, yeah, right.
right.
There's no way in hell I can do that. Like,
But hell, man, if Kevin Owens can do it, you know what I mean? I mean, that's the thing to look for. See, and I think that's the thing, too, man, that I love, not to interrupt you, but that's the thing I love about professional wrestling is a lot of people look at wrestling as it's fake. And it's not, man. I'm sorry. It's not.
No.
It's I've taken chest chops, kendo shots. That shit hurts, man. I've been in wrestling rings. That ain't no damn trampoline. But I love that you said that when you're like, man, I can't do that. I don't know, man. But then you look back and you're like, well, shit, I mean, if he can do it, I can do it. You know what I mean? And that's cool because that's the thing about pro wrestlers, man. They are role models. You know what I mean? Like, hell, there's some in AACW that I look at, and I'm like, that's badass, man, that you're living your dream, you're doing your thing. You know what I mean? All-time favorite wrestler. Who is the man of all time?
honestly, and it's very, very, very close. I got to go with Stone Cold.
Yes. So you're going to go Austin.
Yeah. And
Okay.
there's like a group of 5 that I'm like, I hate having to pick a personal favorite.
Who's your Mount Rushmore? You got 4.
4?
Who's on the Mount Rushmore? Obviously Austin's on there.
Man, only 4.
Only 4, Mount Rushmore. Who you got?
So you go Austin.
Okay. Well deserved.
And honestly, I don't hear very many people dropping this name, and I feel like it's insulting.
Okay.
Hulk Hogan.
Okay, yeah.
why not? Like, it should be, to me...
He's on my all-time Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, this should be shocking. Not shocking, but to me, when you think basketball, Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, man. Yeah,
Wrestling.
it's the GOAT, man.
Hulk Hogan,
It's the
wrestling.
GOAT.
He should be on everybody, unless you're like 8 years old and you just don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Stone Cold,
Hogan.
I only get 4.
He's got 2 more.
I'm gonna say Shawn Michaels.
Greatest of all time.
I'm gonna go Undertaker for the last one.
Okay, yeah. So you got Hogan,
Mm-hmm.
Austin, HBK, Undertaker.
Yeah.
So that.
I mean,
Look at what each one of them did.
and I feel
That's
bad.
a hell of a Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, and I feel bad because honorable mention list has to be
Right? Yeah, it's hard, man.
Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior,
Yeah.
Ric Flair. And do you kind of, you got Undertaker? How far up does Kane go? Does Kane? He's not the Undertaker,
Jacobs, man. Yeah,
but
it's hard, man, when you're asked that question. Because I've been asked that question too, and that's why I love asking that Mount Rushmore question. You know, because obviously Mount Rushmore is going to stand forever unless it's blown the fuck up. You know what I mean? But when you can carve 4 names or 4 faces into a mountain, man, in professional wrestling, that's a pretty damn good Mount Rushmore right there. So all time you went. Who'd you say your all time was? You're gonna go Austin.
Yeah.
Which I think, man, like the black boots and the black trunks. Vince obviously said it wasn't gonna work, but I mean, look where it's at.
His overall body of work, and you can specify.
Hollywood Blonde, man. I mean.
Yeah, and I was even just gonna narrow it down to just his work as Stone Cold.
Mm-hmm. The Ringmaster.
Yeah.
Remember when he was the Ringmaster? I know you brought up 3 of the 4 names that I'm about to ask. WrestleMania or Starrcade. Pick one. Which one you want? WrestleMania or Starrcade?
Go Mania.
Go Mania? Okay. We got Ric Flair. We got the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. We got Randy Savage. And we got Chris Jericho. Let's do Fatal 4-Way Elimination. Who takes it? Who's the first one out?
What were you said?
Flair, Michaels, Savage, Jericho. And the only reason I ask this is because I've asked so many people, who's the GOAT? Who's the GOAT? Some people say Flair, some people say Shawn, some people say Randy, some people say Chris. Elimination, Fatal 4-Way.
I'm saying Jericho out first.
Jericho's out first. Okay.
No disrespect.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm just shocked because I'm like, oh shit, Jericho's gone. Okay. So Jericho's gone. So we got Savage, Michaels, Flair. Triple threat. Flair's gone. Who eliminates Flair? HBK or Savage?
You gotta go Savage, just because of their old
Savage
rivalry.
takes him out? Okay.
With the
Okay.
classic
Yeah,
elbow
WrestleMania
off the
stuff.
top.
Yeah, for sure. So we got HBK and Savage.
Did that match ever actually happen?
It did. Yeah, they had a couple matches.
Oh.
Younger Shawn. We're like real young
Man,
Shawn.
yeah, because I was like, that
Like-
would be...
Like the actual Heartbreak Kid Shawn. Like 90 Shawn. You know what I mean? So you're at Savage and Shawn. Greatest of all time, who wins it? I mean, obviously, you put the 4 names in there, but then you're down to the 2, HBK and Savage. You got a guy, Randy Savage. Let's talk about him really quick before we answer this. A guy who literally took a lawyer's notepad, yellow pad, and he wrote it down. Move by move by move by boom by boom. And if you didn't go through those moves, he got pissed. You know what I mean? And then you got a guy like Shawn Michaels, Mr. WrestleMania, the icon, the main event, the showstopper. Hell, nowadays he's Mr. fucking Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's done it all. He's been in all the first Hell in a Cell, first ladder match. Brett and Shawn, everybody thinks Shawn and Razor was the first, but it's actually Brett and Shawn. But you got the guy who's done it all, and then you got a guy who
Changed the game, really.
he was the wrestler back then. I mean, he was a small dude. He wasn't Hogan. He wasn't Warrior. He wasn't Andre the Giant. He was just Randy Savage. Like,
You feel like with Macho, he went 100% every single time, regardless of what he was doing.
Him and DDP and WCW was one of the greatest rivalries of all time, in my opinion. It was a rival that didn't really quite make sense at first, but what they did with it, it was like, that's good, man. That's good shit. But it's Savage, man. I mean, Wolfpack, NWO, you know what I mean? So you got HBK and Savage. Who takes it? Greatest of all time.
I'm going HBK.
How can you not?
Yeah.
It's fucking Shawn Michaels, man. I mean, let's talk about HBK really quick before we start winding this down. HBK is arguably the greatest of all time. If anybody asks me, and then whenever they do, my answer is the same. Who's your favorite wrestler? Randy Savage. Who's the greatest of all time? Shawn Michaels. There's a difference. See, that's the thing. Who's the best of all time? The greatest of all time? The GOAT. Who's the GOAT? Man, Shawn Michaels, man. And now, normally, it would be Flair and HBK. So I love the fact that Jericho and Flair got eliminated, and it was Savage and HBK in the end. But HBK, man, I got to agree with you. I got to go HBK. HBK is going to pull it out. He's going to outlast Savage. Like, nothing against Macho Man. He's my all-time favorite. Him and Piper. I love Roddy Piper. But HBK would take it. But favorite match from HBK?
So, this is a match that's probably, I'd imagine, no one else has said. Because it's not a WrestleMania, it's not the Iron Man match with Bret.
Yeah.
It's not the Hell in a Cell with Undertaker. I think it was part of a King of the Ring qualifying. Shawn Michaels versus Shelton Benjamin on Monday Night Raw.
The Falcon Kick.
The finish.
The Falcon Kick.
Jumped off.
Yeah.
And he had to go.
It wasn't the
over
super kick. It was the fucking Falcon Kick. Oh my god, yeah. And I love the fact that you mentioned that, man. Awesome finish.
I was watching that live as a kid, and I about fell out of my bed when that moment happened.
That was when HBK went to the looser pants. He stopped wearing the tights. He started wearing the chap tight style pants. But I remember, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. That became the Falcon Kick, man. I mean,
that was
God
a
damn, he got up
hard-hitting
there,
match,
man.
too.
Fuck yeah. Shelton Benjamin, workhorse, man. Oh my God, workhorse. Going back to what I was talking to you earlier about the whole Midwest connection, and then the Minnesota stretching crew with Brock Lesnar and Benjamin. Benjamin should have been world champion 10 times over. Benjamin was a fucking workhorse, in my opinion. Benjamin was a guy who, which I'm gonna take a piss again, but Benjamin was a guy who I feel like never got his due until the Hurt Business came along, and then he still didn't get his due. When you look at Team Angle, him and Charlie Haas, world's greatest tag team, badass tag team. Headlined by Kurt Angle, awesome. And then you put him with the Hurt Business, him and Cedric Alexander. Those guys were badass. So, going back to what you said as far as, sorry folks, this is what we do here. Going back as far as what we were talking about, HBK and Benjamin with that King of the Ring qualifying match, that would be your match of matches?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So if I asked you right now, which I'm going to because that's the next one, what was your holy shit moment? What was the moment that you watched, man? Pay-per-view, Raw, SmackDown, New Japan, whatever, Ring of Honor. You were like, holy shit. I mean, the moment that made you pop off the couch.
The first, because I talked about watching wrestling with my grandpa, being in separate rooms. The first ever pay-per-view that we bought was the King of the Ring tournament where Undertaker versus Mankind Hell in a Cell. And when Undertaker took Mankind and threw him off the side, me and my grandpa were sitting there with like jaws on the floor, like.
Was that not like a?
Did we just watch a murder?
Right. Yeah. I mean, let's bring that up, man. King of the Ring, Mankind, Mick Foley, Taker, Hell in a Cell. You obviously had Shawn and Taker. How the fuck do you top it? Start the match on the top of the cell. Sew this guy off. And then the fact that he dislocated his shoulder, punctured his, I believe it was his lung.
Had
And
a tooth coming through his nose.
Yeah. Came back, got thrown through the cell. Doesn't remember it. I don't think there's a holy shit moment that's ever going to top that, man. As far as and let's not even mention the fact that JR, good old Jim Ross, sold it so well.
Oh, yeah.
That I thought he was dead, man. I thought he killed him. I mean, what was it, 16, 20 feet structure at that time?
I think it was at least 20.
Yeah.
I think it's 20.
I mean, hummed off that damn thing like it wasn't nothing, you know what I mean? When you go back, because I've went back and I've watched that match, shit, probably 50 times in my lifetime. And it never gets old. I know how it ends. I know how it starts. I know the middle. But when it comes to Taker and Foley, Hell in a Cell, I don't think there was more of a violent Hell in a Cell. The only one I could ever compare to that one as far as violence was Shawn and Hunter.
What about Triple H and, was it Cactus Jack he used? Or was
Cactus Jack, yeah. The barbed wire on top and everything, the flaming, I think it was a 2x4 wrapped in barbed wire. Yeah. Most violent match.
So, because I've watched it, but it's been a few years since I watched it. I think it was called Born to be Wired. It was a barbed wire rope match with Terry Funk versus Sabu.
Sabu got the arm ripped open.
Yeah, because
taped it up.
Sabu put the chair down. I went to jump off of it.
Green ropes for barbed wire.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine ripping my bicep open that far.
Yeah, and
then just taping it up. Just grab some fucking electrical tape, taped it up. As we start running this down, man, I want to move forward and go. I know we brought you up a couple times during this podcast. I want to talk about you. Here's what I love, and this is how I wrote it because this is a headline. I maybe the names, I don't know. Cash versus Chaos. Let's talk about that. You guys had a solo run. Obviously, he's World Tag Team Champions with Justin in the Bulletproof Posse.
Yeah.
Where did you guys work? Now you guys did two.
No, the second one's coming up.
The second one's coming up.
Next Saturday.
Okay. So where's that going down at?
TCW, Traditional Championship Wrestling.
Okay.
In Jeffersonville, Indiana.
Okay. So it's Cash and Chaos 2.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the first one. Because I watched the little highlights and stuff like that. I know the exploder into
the guardrails.
The guardrail. Badass. I mean, holy shit, man. I mean, that's fucking awesome. How'd that match come up, man? Is that almost a setup to what we might see, man? Like,
possibly. I mean, just depends on if Shane wants to keep protecting his boys when it comes to AACW. Because I mean, if he takes the time to watch that match, he's gonna see what's inevitable for Cash and his little boy Justin. So it's just a matter of how long Shane wants to keep protecting them. But yeah, so I thought I ended Cash last time, but apparently we're having a grudge match next Saturday. So.
How long did you guys go in that match, by the way?
9 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
All together.
Now let me ask you this, because see, here's the thing: like people who watch and stuff like that, they don't understand that when you're being tossed around and being hit and being thrown through whatever you're being thrown through the ringer. A 10-minute wrestling match is like, what, 30 minutes in there for you guys?
It feels like a non-stop sprint.
Yeah.
You can say, hey, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to work out for an hour. That doesn't equal out to 10 minutes in a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
Because in a gym, you're taking 90-second breaks or whatever in between sets, go get some water, come back to lifting. Imagine you're running on a treadmill mixed with the weightlifting, and everything else you can imagine.
Carrying weights on top of your shoulders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and see, and that's the thing I love about pro wrestling. People think like, oh damn, that was only a 15-minute match, but it's like, yeah, it's a 15-minute match to the people who are viewing it, but to the guys and girls who are doing it, man, that seems like an hour to you guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hell, you. I know we talked about the solo run and where you want to go with that. I want to ask you about your AACW run thus far. Being the guy coming in,
Yeah.
where you're at now, where you want to go, man.
I mean, I feel kind of bad that Chad and his little son didn't get executed quite the way we were aiming for. They kind of got out of prison, I guess you could say. That's kind of a bad look on us that they survived.
Okay.
But hey, there's been people who have survived the electric chair, so I mean,
This is true.
they're going to remember that.
Now, Chad Kaos, right?
Chad
That's who you're
Cross.
I'm sorry, yeah, Chad Cross. Sorry, I actually got him coming on. So, is there anything you want to say to him in the camera?
No, I
Because
mean,
you obviously, you said you couldn't quite execute him the way you wanted to. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that our paths will cross again.
yeah.
No
Yeah.
pun intended there.
Okay. I know when we originally started talking about you coming on, man. I know we brought up Mr. Moorbucks.
Mhm.
So I want to touch really quick on that as we wind this down. Mr. Moorbucks. Let's talk about him for a minute.
Pretty much, because ultimately, me and Scrubby definitely try to focus more on tag team wrestling.
Okay.
Get our opportunities there. And it's a huge misconception that they look at Scrubby and go, oh, well, that's Chaos's manager. No, the dude was a deathmatch wrestler. He's been powerbombed through car windshields that were on fire. Like, he's not a manager. He just so happens to be in my corner a lot of these times. So Benny, Mr. Benny Moorbucks, is kind of going to be the actual manager, both legal and financial advisor.
Okay.
So say if a match does get booked with Firecracker Justin and Christian Coinper, whatever his name, it doesn't matter what his name is, ever happens, and then say the day of the show, oh, well, we switched up the card, that's when Mr. Benny Moorbucks comes in and says, no,
Okay.
we got this in writing, bring your boys to the slaughter.
Are we going to see Mr. Moorbucks with a Bulletproof Posse in the future?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, are you guys creating a stable, man?
No, because he's strictly manager. He'll be there.
Okay.
May help us win if needed. Don't know yet.
Okay.
We don't need help to win.
I want to ask, shout out, by the way, to the gold standard, Travis Southern, Hawaiian Hitman,
Are they in AACW?
and my man who kicked my ass on this show, Brody Botkins, the most feared man in AACW. I know we talked about tag titles, man, but it's the gold standard. No disrespect, but I gotta ride with the gold standard. Where's the Bulletproof Posse's execution list? Where does the gold standard lie on that, man? Number 1, number 2, number 3? Are you guys looking at those guys? Like, I mean, man, it's... I gotta say, man, I gotta throw my hands up, I gotta say, it's Brody fucking Botkins and it's Travis fucking Southern. You throw the Hawaiian Hitman in there. Where are you guys looking at with that, man? I mean, because, talking about tag teams, they are, becoming a legitimate tag team. Where is the Bulletproof Posse? Where's Scrubby and Kris Kaos looking at the gold standard?
I mean, if you break it down, like, we're gonna take the belts from Firecracker and Coin Purse, and then I mean, are they in AACW? I haven't even heard of them. But from what I get, it's a guy who looks like a Power Ranger off Wish. A guy is he trying to be like the cartoon character? And their grandpa? Is that what makes... Is that...
So we got a Power Ranger and the grandpa.
Yeah, and the dude from Moana? Is that the cartoon?
Oh, okay.
I mean, kind of a weird thing to make your gimmick around, but hey, whatever floats your boat, I guess. But no, and I had a post that said, you know, whoever wants to smoke, I mean, my advice is don't bring a knife to a gunfight.
Gentlemen, Travis Southern, Hawaiian Hitman, my man Brody Botkins, Gold Standard, Bulletproof Bossy calling him out.
In time.
In time?
First, we're going to take those belts from Firecracker.
So, take the belts from them. Championship match in the future, possibly?
If we...
Are they on your level?
No, you beat me to that. I mean...
Are they on the radar? Is it just kind of like, I'm just going to push them away now?
Yeah, I mean, we don't see a lot of value. They don't really have anything that... Well, Brody has that open weight title.
Title you looking at?
I've thought about it.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing the match. Kris Kaos, Brody Botkins, open weight championship.
Street Thug versus the Power Ranger. I mean, might be able to do it.
Okay.
But,
But going back to the tag thing, like, is it a... If you... Let's do this as we close this down. This will be the last couple things here. If it's the Bulletproof Posse versus the Gold Standard, tag team championships are on the line. Who's taking the match, man?
I mean, come on.
Brother, it's been a blast. This has been awesome. I appreciate you making the 2-hour drive down here. I always give everybody a moment to say what they want to say. So on here, I mean, this is, I advertise this as 100% raw and uncut. I don't care what you say. God knows I do what I want to do. Camera's yours, brother. Anything you want to say to anybody you want to say?
Yeah.
As much time as you want. It's yours.
I'll give a shout out to some people I was thinking about.
Yep.
Pretty much any promoter that I've ever worked for, if it was just like a one and done match, thank you, very much appreciated. Thanks to Cousin Cooter for getting me started in the business. Also, something that's very, very important, Shorty P, aka Knuckles. If it wasn't for him, I would never even have got the invite to potentially be in AACW. So a huge thank you to him, because that ultimately, if you think about it, led me to being here. And then also to my wife, Jamie, she lets me do crazy shit. So.
With that being said, is that what you got?
Yeah.
No challenges you want to throw out, other than what we've talked about.
Other than what we talked about.
AACW locker room, you guys are on notice right now.
Yeah, I mean, anyone can get the smoke, anyone can get executed. Just, we're not hard to find.
With that being said, brother, it's been a blast. I know when La Lucha Credo was on here, I didn't have black. Everybody signed in black, but I have black now. So I have blue, red, green, and black. Which color would you like, sir?
We'll go black.
Go black? All right.
Since it's kind of a nice color anyway.
As Kris Kaos signs the table, it is tradition here on SWS. I'm going to give some shout-outs. Brother, again, it's been a blast. First shout-out I want to give to the Click. You guys know who you are, but I'm going to mention you anyway. Travis, David, Ryan, a.k.a. Damon Deville. I love you guys. Too sweet, my brothers. So much love. Ryan, special shout out to you, brother. I know you just lost your pops. I know I personally messaged you and talked to you about it, but I want to go on here and say it. Man, I'm so sorry, and condolences to you and the family, brother. I love you. Too sweet, man. if you guys are looking to get hair stuff done, check out my wife, Emmy Timmons at Shears Salon. You can find her on Facebook. Huge shout out to riotstickers.com. Find them also on Facebook. Joshua Grove. Thanks, brother, for making the banner. Going to be going through him for shirts and things like that in the future. If you guys need merch or anything like that, check out Joshua Grove at riotstickers.com. Great deals. Wally and Linz's Flea Market, you guys can check them out every Saturday night live on Facebook. They do great auctions, great prices. A lot of fun with those guys. Wally, brother, I love you, man. Thanks for all the great deals. I would be a fool if I didn't mention a few people. I don't know if we're doing the Super Click or I don't know if we're doing the Wolves now. I don't know. I've been calling us the Wolves, man. Throw the W up. To Erica, Terry, and Tanner, you guys are my loves. I love you guys so much, man. Too sweet to you guys. Again, to the AACW locker room, to all you guys who do what you do. Kris Kaos doing what you do, man. I know you guys put your life on the line to entertain us. Big shout out to you guys. Thank you guys so much. Last and not least, I just want to thank everybody, man, who watches this, man. Like, thank you guys so much, dude. SWS has become something really cool and crazy idea I had when I played music. And to Jeff Icing, love you, brother. Yeah, so there's my shout outs. Brother, with that being said, in a toast, I want to do this. I want to do this to Ryan's dad. So, cheers, my brother. I'm sorry about your loss. We love you, man. Brother, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on, making the drive. Ladies and gentlemen, Kris Kaos, one half of the Bulletproof Posse. Hopefully here in Season 3, we can get both members on here. But with that being said, as always, I'm going to Scott Hall over here really quick. Yeah, I'm a fucking Paul Heyman guy, and that's just too sweet.